Hey guys, today we're going to be going over my top 10 favorite albums of all time and my favorite songs from each of them. I wanted to do a more structured video because my videos are really just not cutting it, I think, in my eyes at least. So I decided to actually write down some stuff and get some stuff ready so that it will be a more enjoyable video for all of y'all. But before we get into it, let me show you something. My Sakura Miku figure. She is so pretty. Look at her. I got her at the Bell County Comic Con. I couldn't find anything that I really wanted because there weren't a lot of vendors selling figures. Like, there was very little vendors selling actual anime figures. And so I was kind of sad about that. But then, right at the last second, right before me and my dad were about to leave, I found this big, like, huge, like, the walls were, like, so tall. Just lined with anime figures, and I was like, yes, like I finally found it. And I was searching for like 10 minutes and then I found her. Well, originally I wanted an Asuka figure from Neon Genesis Evangelion, however you say it, but she was $65 and I'm pretty sure this one was $60. So it's a little better, but still pricey. I mean, they're anime figures, they're all gonna be like that. So without further ado, let's get into it. Starting from 10. Number 10 is Speak for Yourself by Imogen Heap. I've been kind of a fan of Imogen Heap for a long time. Do you remember when What You Say by Jason Derulo came out and he sampled Hide and Seek by Imogen Heap in that song and everyone was going crazy over that song and like everyone loved it? Well, I was more focused on the Imogen Heap parts than the actual rapping. Is he rapping in that? I don't really remember. So then I went on a little hunt for myself and I found this album and it is like banger after banger after banger. They have the best vibes. Like, I love 2000s electronic music, was so top tier. It's crazy. Insensitivity of this still life. So because of What You Say and my whole debacle of searching for the original song that he sampled, Hide and Seek is my favorite from that album. I think it's really beautiful, like just lyrical wise and music wise. Imogen Heap is so specific with her music choices. Whenever I listen to music, I can tell whenever someone really knows about music. Like, she knows about music. She's not playing around. And I think it's a beautiful story. It's about divorce, attempting to make amends with the person you're divorcing. Number 9, Trick by Alex G. Now, I know Alex G has kind of become a TikTok music artist, but I don't care. Sometimes things are popular for a reason. What? Things can be popular for a reason and we don't have to hate things just because they're popular? Crazy. But I think Trick is one of his best albums and it's just my favorite because it has all of the songs that you think of whenever you think of Alex G. It's so iconic and I think that it will be known as one of the best albums of the 2010s. My favorite song from this album is Forever because I think out of all of them, it has some of the best vibes, like the happiest vibes, I would say. I listen to it all the time whenever I first discovered Alex G, like all the time, on repeat, every day. Going to school my freshman year and just having one AirPod in my ear and listening to Trick all day long. I think the story that I at least have taken from the lyrics is loving someone that might have issues in areas that you haven't really dealt with, but still trying to help them and being there for them. It might be alcohol or something like that, like addiction issues or mental illness, but loving them unconditionally even though they do deal with this part of them. And not to get emo on main, but I really would like someone to do that for me. And it's just a beautiful way of existing, to love someone unconditionally. So that's why I think the song is so beautiful and I love it. Number 8, Absolution by Muse. Now we know that I am in love with Muse, thanks to Dan and Phil, but Absolution is one of Muse's most iconic albums. It has, again, banger after banger after banger, iconic song after iconic song after iconic song. They are all so good. Like, every single song on that album is so good and you can't deny it. The album cover is iconic. The shadows, like, how do you even come up with something that amazing? It truly, like, baffles my mind whenever I listen to that album. I'm like, how did someone just make this? Scratching my head, literally. Butterflies and Hurricanes has to be one of the best songs made ever. And I am not exaggerating. Muse really knows how to build suspense with their music and their musicality. And the piano break, like that little bridge area, it hits me in the soul every time. Like, it's so good that I don't even have words. And you might be wondering, oh, this is only number 8. There's still a lot to go. I feel just as strongly for all of them. Number 7, Led Zeppelin 3 by Led Zeppelin. I don't know if you can tell, but I have a Jimmy Page poster from the 70s up in my room. It's cloth. It's not even like the paper that they make posters with nowadays. It is a cloth sheet with Jimmy Page on it playing his guitar. And it is my prized possession. I don't know if you know this about me, but my 70s playlist is almost 24 hours long. Now, I don't know if that gives you any insight of how much I love 70s music, but it should. This album is arguably one of the most iconic albums from the 70s. 3 is my favorite album of Led Zeppelin, and obviously one of my favorite albums ever since it's on this list. My favorite song from this album is Tangerine, and I actually discovered this song from a fan fiction. I will not be disclosing what fan fiction it was or who it was about, because that is private information, but I'm sure if you've read that fan fiction, you know what I'm talking about and you know what it is. So because I discovered this from a fan fiction, it used to be a song that I would listen to whenever I was reading it, but I finished that fan fiction like a year ago. But I continued to listen to it, and it gained deeper and deeper meaning to me. So instead of being something that I would listen to specifically thinking about one thing, it just became one of my favorite songs that I've ever heard. I really, really want to learn how to play this song on guitar, but I haven't yet. Maybe in the future I'll post a cover of that. Number 6, Punisher by Phoebe Bridgers. Phoebe Bridgers is a really popular musician, and I think that is great because she is one of the best lyricists that I've ever seen in my life. She knows how to write a song. Punisher is one of those albums that I always go back to whenever I'm sad, but that doesn't mean it's not good. Punisher has some of the most heart-wrenching songs that Phoebe Bridgers has ever written. I also really like her work with Boy Genius. Their albums did not make it onto my list, seeing as they only have like one, but I think that those 3 work really well together, and their creative minds just blend perfectly.
said. Now I am dreaming and you're singing.
My favorite song from this album is Moon Song, even though it's the saddest song on the album. I listened to this song religiously at one of the lowest points in my life. It has the perfect lyrics for what was going on at that time. Now, I don't want you decoding everything and going crazy on like what was actually happening with me. You know, whenever you listen to a song and you can see an edit perfectly in your head? That's what happened to me whenever I listened to this song. Making an edit of yourself is crazy, but if I could, I would, to this song, because it's so good and so perfect for what was happening. But other than being a trauma bond song, this song is just beautifully written and amazingly composed, and just an all-around awesome song. Number 5, The Bends by Radiohead. I have a Radiohead poster up right above my bed, and it's beautiful. I was kind of scared that it would like be creepy at nighttime, but it's kind of creepy all the time, so it doesn't really bother me. Radiohead is one of those bands where if you say you like them, people automatically are like, but they're really good, like they're good writers. Tom York is a god. High and Dry is one of my favorite songs for a similar reason to Moon Song. Another situation happened later after the Moon Song situation, and it happened to go perfectly with High and Dry. I don't really have a lot to say about this song / this album because it speaks for itself. It's an amazing album. You should go listen to it now. You should listen to all of these albums. But High and Dry is an amazing song, and I really relate to it still to this day. Moon Song, not so much, but High and Dry, I really resonate with that song. Number 4, Showbiz by Muse. Another Muse album. Are we surprised? No. Showbiz was actually the first album that I listened to by Muse, and I think that was a great choice, whether it was intentional or not. This album also happens to be one of the only albums on this list that I have all of the songs liked in the whole album. Showbiz is the kind of album that I would introduce to someone who has never listened to Muse before. It kind of has everything, but also stays true to Muse itself. So if any of my friends asked me, hey, you listen to Muse, I want to listen to them, what album should I listen to? I would always recommend Showbiz. Sober might be the best Muse song. In vibes. Only going by vibes. Matt Bellamy's voice in Sober is amazing. Now, I don't really understand the lyrics all that much. It's kind of undiscernible what the meaning exactly is to me. I would have to look up like a decoding video or something. But I still think it's an amazing song, and I think that everyone should listen to it. Number 3, Either Or by Elliott Smith. I debated putting this album in number 1, and now that I'm thinking about it, I probably should have switched number 3 and number 2, but I'm already filming it, so it's too late now. I am a big, major Elliott Smith fan, and Either Or was the first album that I listened to by him, so it holds a place in my heart. Either Or is again probably one of the best albums ever written. Elliott Smith is a genius songwriter. Again, it's one of those cases where it's like, I listen to the song and I'm like, how did someone write this? It's too amazing. Ballad of Big Nothing has a really deep meaning to me. It reminds me of that one quote. I have the quote up here. When no one wakes you up in the morning and no one waits for you at night and you can do whatever you want, what do you call that? Freedom or loneliness? It's by Charles Bukowski. This song reminds me of that quote so much because it says, "You can do what you want to whenever you want to. There's no one to stop you." And then it goes on to say, "Do what you want to whenever you want to, though it doesn't mean a thing." So to me, this means like a person realizing that after they, maybe pushed all of their loved ones away in a fit of independence, it's them realizing that they really do need them instead of being free and feeling independent and living their life for themselves. They're feeling lonely. Even though they don't have those connections to tell them what to do anymore, they still feel upset because they don't have that emotional part of the connection. Now, I'm just yapping, but that's what it means to me. Number 2, Enema of the State by Blink-182. Blink-182 is a band that I grew up with. Every second of my childhood was spent listening to Blink-182 because my dad loves them. If you can see in my mirror, I have a poster for them that was actually my dad's whenever he was a teenager. So Blink-182 is very nostalgic for me. Every time I listen to them, I just think about my childhood and my dad and all of our memories together. So I think that kind of has a say in why this album is up so high, because I don't really listen to it all that often, but it really is one of my favorites.
Once, I'm sure heard it twice. My dad used to give me all of his advice. He would say, "You gotta turn your back and run now. Come on, son, you haven't got a chance now."
Dumpweed is such a fun song just to listen to, and the lyrics are really funny. I love the way that Blink-182 writes lyrics because they're so unserious sometimes, but they can also get really deep if you think about it. And I am a thinker, so. Number 1, The Rise and Fall of Ziggy Stardust by David Bowie. Now, we've talked about my obsession with David Bowie, but we didn't really go into detail on it. I became obsessed with David Bowie / the 70s whenever I was 14 in my freshman year of high school. I cut my hair into a mod cut. I dyed it red, so I looked like Ziggy Stardust. Well, actually, I looked like Aladdin Sane, not Ziggy Stardust, but everyone said Ziggy Stardust anyway. I dressed in bell-bottoms and ringer t-shirts, and that's all you would see me in. All I listened to was my 24-hour-long 70s playlist and every song on David Bowie's discography. I got The Rise and Fall of Ziggy Stardust for Christmas. I listened to it all the way through for days on end. I know I've said this about 4 million times already in this video, but this is one of the best albums ever. And I don't even think that people are going to disagree with me on that, because David Bowie is so iconic and such an amazing songwriter and performer that everyone knows that it's one of the best albums of all time. I'm sure it was on one of those like New York Times top 50 albums of all time. I'm not sure on that, but it should be. Lady Stardust has many meanings to me in my brain. It reminds me of some of my favorite things, and also it's just an amazing song. So if you're not a David Bowie fan, you should definitely listen all the way through The Rise and Fall of Ziggy Stardust. This is another album that I have all of the songs liked from. I think it's simply because I listened to the vinyl record, and that made me love every song instead of, picking and choosing like you can whenever you listen to it on Spotify or Apple Music or something like that. So yeah, that's all for today's video. I really hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, like for the algorithm, follow, and follow me on my other things. Bye!